Good morning, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guest. I know it's evening, but I am telling you morning because a lot of our friends are still sleeping. Uh, Today, I'll be acting as sergeant of today's meeting, and as a sergeant at arms, I'm expected to talk about mission. So, the mission of our Toastmaster Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting into greater self-confidence and personal growth. There are few ground rules. I would request people to mute themselves until unless they're asked to speak. Keep your camera on so that we have interaction and some meeting looks little dynamic. At Toastmasters, we don't talk about sex, politics, and religion in demeaning manner. And please clap when somebody speaks and there is a transition happening. As Toastmasters, we encourage this kind of reaction, which helps people, get some confidence on talking. So these are the ground rules. As a sergeant at arms, I'm trying to remind you guys that you have to follow the ground rules. With this, I would like to hand over the stage to our very own long-standing presiding officer who is currently talking to somebody. Once she is here, over to you. She's still talking, no problem, guys. So today's session is something about improv, and I've not done it. I've only seen the stand-up comedian doing something, but let us learn what it is. Over to you, our presiding officer of today's meeting, Toastmaster Mamta.
Yeah, presiding officer slash host as well, force fitting into that role. But yeah, I'm sure we will have some learning. So one of the major things in Toastmasters that we all know of is how do we think on our feet and how do we ensure that we contribute to any conversation. So in order to help you win, master this skill. We will not do much of an education because you've all contributed to table topics in some manner or the other, but this is going to be a slightly different way of contributing to table topics, but a little longer time. You're going to get 4 minutes for your speech, and I'm going to share my screen so that I can quickly show you what the rules are and how it is going to progress. And of course, we will take up any questions once I share the rules. Let me know once you're able to see my screen, please. It starts with the slide Fractured Fables. Please let me know once you can see.
Yep, it is there.
Yes.
Fables fractured.
Yeah. Fables are fractured. Okay. So I'm sure you're all. We'll talk about this a bit later, but couple of instructions. The timing that you will get for this particular activity will be 4 minutes. So you will see the card turning green once it is three. Then it will be three at yellow at 3 minutes 30 seconds, and a red at 4 minutes. We would encourage you not to go beyond 4 minutes because you'll be disqualified, but otherwise try to speak till the end of the time. Speak only on the chosen option, and tops two stories will be declared as the improv author. Now, what is improv? Just to give you a little bit of understanding, improv is when you do not have context to what you're going to talk about. You're put on the spot and you're asked to speak on something, and that's exactly what you're going to do. But what's a twist over here? The twist here is that we're going to select something that we are all familiar with. We've all grown up listening to fables, moral stories, right? Now, what you're going to do, I'm going to, depending on the number you've chosen, I'm going to select a slide. Now, let's take, since we're just few of us, let's take one slide as an example, probably the 13th one. Now, if you look at this, this gives you a hint of a story. The Lion and the Mouse. I'm sure all of you might have heard of it. It's okay even if you don't know the story. Basically, the moral of the story is no act of kindness is ever wasted. And the theme is no act of kindness is ever wasted. So, in some cases, the theme and a little more extra information is given over here, but otherwise, it's primarily the moral or the theme. What are you supposed to do now? You have to, since you've chosen this particular story, you're free to narrate any uh, picturization of this story to ensure that this theme is justified. So it doesn't have to be. In fact, it should not be the actual story at all. Feel free to add new characters to it. Feel free to modify the story as well. But at the end of the day, the theme should be retained, which is no act of kindness is ever wasted. And the main characters of the story are the lion and the mouse. Okay, so you're going to use the characters, you're going to narrate the story to ensure that you meet the theme. No act of kindness is ever wasted, and you get 4 minutes for that. Before that, you get 30 seconds to think through that. Are the instructions clear? You can modernize it, you can introduce whatever you like, you can change the traditional fable into something much more new as well, that can fit into the current scenario. Make it as interesting as possible. That's absolutely your call. Any questions before we start?
So, am I expected to know the story of lion and mouse whenever it comes? Because
No, no.
I've forgotten
Only
everything.
1 minute, Akib. Okay, sorry. So to answer your question, Akib, you don't have to know the story. So if I
Okay.
take you back to this, the main characters have to be used. Who, in this case, the main characters are the lion.
Lion and the mouse.
Okay, and what is the theme of the actual story? No act of kindness is ever wasted.
Wasted.
Okay,
Okay.
now you can introduce any number of characters in between in the 4 minutes. You can modernize the story. You can also add certain elements that make it much more interesting, or a complete twist of the known story as well. It doesn't matter. We are not bothered about the actual story at all, but how are you using these characters to arrive at the theme is what we will be looking at.
And you'll give us 30 seconds to think.
Yes. And all these are moral stories itself. I'm sure you all know these stories. Probably you don't remember exactly, but if you think through, we've all learned moral stories through the form of
One.
animal instances. So this is a nice way that you can explore and do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Just to give you a better understanding, since I anyways displayed this slide over here. So the lion and the mouse is all about how the lion tries to save the mouse from danger. So the lion actually was the lion's den was surrounded by a lot of ants, and the mouse tries to save that lion from the ant attack multiple times. So the lion never hurts the mouse. One such instance happens where there was a hunter who has come in and he throws a net, and the lion kind of gets trapped into the net as well, and the mouse comes and rescues it by biting the net off and rescues the lion. So in return, the lion also makes sure that it always takes care of the mouse by providing for it. So that simple act of kindness that the mouse had demonstrated helped her a long way, where she doesn't have to hunt for it anymore. That's a simplified version of the story. A lot of details are there, but I just gave you an example of what the story was all about. So use the main characters, use the theme. Let's say you want to introduce more, like I introduced the hunter in this case. You are free to introduce such characters as well. All right. Are we excited? I am really excited. So we're going to rule out 13. You can choose any number between 2 to 14. Who wants to go first? You have seen so many movies, so you can introduce whatever you like in it. You can make it automated. You can introduce sci-fi element to it. You can modernize it. You can introduce human characters in it as well. Avinash, would you like to give it a shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, choose a number
So,
between 2 to 14,
3,
barring 13 and 1.
3.
Free. Okay. So this is the story for you. The ant and the grasshopper, the ants and the grasshopper. And the moral is work hard, and moral is there is time for work and time for play. And the theme of the story is work hard and play hard. You get 30 seconds to think.
Yeah. Once long ago,
No, no, no.
there
You
is a
get
forest.
30 seconds to think, Avinash.
Yes,
Please
yes,
use it.
yes, yes.
Okay.
Let me
Because
go,
I'll
ma'am.
have to start the timer once.
Okay, please.
Okay. If you're ready, you let me know. I'll
Yes,
start.
yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Wow, that's
Once your
fabulous.
time start, I'll go.
Arre wah. Super. 1 second. Start.
Yeah, long ago there is a forest. In that forest there is a space where lot of ants and few grasshoppers lived. All these ants were playing, and grasshoppers also feel we have to enjoy the life and play. But they miss the ants' moral. They are playing, and it comes winter season where ants worked hard and gathering their food. But grasshoppers keep on playing. One of the ants told them, "Hey friends, after this we'll get some rainy season. So let's have some work and gather our food. So our kids and we'll have good days at that time. Otherwise, we have to suffer. We can't go outside. The rain will wash us away." Grasshoppers didn't listen. They're feeling happy in playing the games. They're enjoying themselves, and time just went away like that. It came the rainy season. During those days, grasshoppers find difficult to stay outside because of the winds. But ants had their home, which they built under the trees, and they also gathered enough food. And they had all amenities what they want to live happily and peacefully. And grasshoppers feeling it difficult at the same time because they didn't have proper amenities, proper house, and good food to have. So 1 day, 2 days they managed. After that, they felt very difficult and came to ants and asked for some food. With a kindness, they provided, but at the same time, they think about their kids and they segregated what they have to donate and what they have to keep for them. So they given for 1 day. Second day, they told, "See, friend, we already told you. This is time to work. You have to work. Next coming season is rainy season. So you all have to work now to live happily at the time. We can't go outside during the rainy season. At that time, you neglected. Now you are suffering. So when time is in our hands, we have to work and we have to see the vision. What is the coming season and what we are going to face at that, and what is our strength now, and how we can survive." With that, grasshopper realized, but it's too late. So they're helpless and they have to face the consequences. At the same time, ants, though they are kind, they took their own stand. We have to keep food for ourselves and our kids. If we give to grasshoppers, we have to suffer at long time. So they taken their stand and they given food for 1 2 days and asked them to arrange themselves. And for shelter also, they can't believe in grasshoppers because they're afraid if they turn hunger more and they keep attacking on ants, it would not be safe to the kids. So they denied for shelter also. So grasshoppers then realized when we have to play hard. And when it's time to work, we have to work and gather our things. And we have to be even donation, it should be self-sufficient. They realize this lesson from the ants and they keep adjusting themselves with the environment and gathering some food and taking some shelter behind the trees or somewhere, whatever. So they realize themselves and they're getting through the times and hope from next time they'll do as per the theme. Thank you.
Wow, what
Yeah,
an
Mamta.
amazing story. What an amazing story, Avinash. I think Avinash deserves a big round of applause. Yeah, indeed, very well connected. I know you've used the actual part of the story, but you tried to modify it along the way. I really like the way you entirely picturized it from the way you need to look at utilizing the resources as well that is available. And the last part was not there actually in the actual story. How they have accommodated and given time shows that there is always scope to give time for others to learn along the way as well. So very nice take on the story. You also employed some tonality that could support your story in terms of making it a little curious. I think the timer factor kind of made you end it abruptly. I is that did that made you make you a little conscious over there?
Yes,
I
yes.
think so. Yeah, I think that ending part could have been
Yes, conclusion
much
was
more
very little.
impactful. Yes, but otherwise, overall, a very good attempt, Avinash. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Great
ma'am.
job. Yes. So you have seen one instance of what the story is all about. So some of our friends, Gopi has joined us. So Gopi, this is all about improv. You choose a fable and you can talk about it for 4 minutes, narrate a story. You don't have to tell the actual story. You can create your own story from the title, using the characters and arriving at the moral. Who would like to go next? Okay, fabulous. Let me screen share once again. All right, this one. So you're going to choose between, let's eliminate 3 now. 1, 3, and 13 are gone. Anything beyond that? 1, 3, 13 are gone, and we have it until the 14th. So what's your
I was
choice?
speaking on mute. 14.
I thought you would choose 14 for some reason.
Yeah,
Let's
because
see what we have. Okay, the story is the two crabs. The moral of the story is example is more powerful than precept, and the theme is lead by example. Okay, precept is what comes before it. Example is more powerful than precept, and lead by example is the theme. You get your 30 seconds. Let me know when you're ready so that I can start the timer. Reset. Last 10 seconds. All right, Akib, I hope you're ready.
yep.
Okay, let me spotlight you. Add spotlight and remove spotlight. And let me share my timer screen as well. And in 3, 2, 1, go.
Example is more important than precept. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk about two crabs, one dog, and one fish, also one tortoise. I don't know why I'm calling everybody one, so we can have two tortoise, one named Joey. The story is of a drought wherein crabs were dying, but few crabs were little courageous. They didn't want to die, so they would try to go here and there. One day, the tortoise came, Joey, saying, "Why are you guys suffering? I have a solution for you. I can take you to a place wherein you'll find a good food." People are like, "Amazing. Why don't you take us?" Tortoise took the land route because it was easy for him to walk. Crabs were facing little difficulties. They wanted something wet. They traveled for one day, didn't find anything, but they missed tortoise somewhere. This didn't help. Then one of the crab said, "Buddies, you guys are listening to other communities. But when I was telling you that there is a place with good fortune, good food, you didn't listen. And I will show you. Okay. You're like, you don't show us. You get food for yourself and we'll be happy. It went crazy. That fellow took it on his herd. So he went to a nearby station. Somewhere he found water and pond. He had good food and he brought food for his kids. And when these crabs, they were literally crying. Like you can imagine the situation of Lagan movie when people were dying for water. That situation. When the other crabs, they saw that this fellow is bringing a food, they're like, oh, we thought this guy was mad, but he has an example to share. And when he came, he was like, I told you guys, you listen to that tortoise, not to a buddy crab. And here I am with the food, but I won't give it to you. I'll give it to my brother because he was almost listening. He almost stood by me. So, ladies and gentlemen, we all work in corporate. We tell a lot of things, people don't listen. Sometimes they listen because of your power, because of your authorities. So Mamata here has a power. Whatever she says, people listen. Akib here doesn't have a power. I'm an analyst. So people normally do not listen. But if I have to make a point, what will I do? I will share a case study. I will say this is one of the example wherein I have worked on a project which went a success. It was $1 million win. And I'll show the numbers. I'll show the decks which were presented. And then people will listen to me. So whenever you feel that you don't have authority to convince or influence people, case study, an example becomes your support system. So always try, especially in those situations, you can't be just talking and you'll have to do work on your own. You'll have to lead by example, and then that example sharing might help you to influence people. I'll tell you one more example, and it might be little rude, cruel, I don't know. But Gopinath here in this meeting is influenced by me. So I've led by example. I've told him I've done so many things in Toastmaster. You come join, see how people progress, and he's here. So that's the mantra to influence people wherein you don't have authority. I was not his manager. We both were reporting to same manager. But today, at least I was able to influence him and bring him into this meeting. So that's my attempt. Over to you, Toastmaster Mamta.
Thank you so much, Akib, for sharing that. And I think the way you associated a live instance also is a very good way of supporting your statement of how to lead by example. Well, you've introduced a lot of characters. I think, all in all, the crab represents, I think, all of us, every single one of us, and how we try to tackle things our way. But yeah, it's very important as you progress in your career, not just in your career, but even otherwise as well. It's very, very important that we always walk the talk, like they say. Very difficult, but not impossible for sure. Great, that's a fantastic story. Two very interesting stories have come our way already. Let's see who will go next. Gopinath, would you like to try one?
Yeah, I will try.
Sure. Let me share my screen so that you can pick a topic, and then I will give you some time to think. Okay.
We'll have to reiterate the rules to him because he joined little late.
Okay. Sure, I will do that. So, Gopinath, 14 is taken, 13 is taken, 3 is done. Uh, one is just a header slide, so you can pick anything else between 3 to between 4 to 12.
10.
10. Okay. All right. So the story is the heart and the hunter. The heart is this, and the hunter. The moral of the story is our greatest weaknesses can also be our strengths. And the theme of the story is don't underestimate yourself. So, couple of things you need to remember, Gopinath, just to reiterate the rules, like Akib mentioned. You can, if you know the story, you can introduce new characters and tell us the story, but don't tell the actual story as is. We don't want to listen to that. The heart should be used, the hunter should be used. You can add more characters if you'd like to support your story, but ultimately, the story should end with the moral, which is our greatest weaknesses can also be our strengths. Okay, so you can modify it, you can narrate it that way. You get 4 minutes. Unlike the regular table topics, you get 30 seconds to think and 4 minutes to speak. You'll see the timer cards. The moment it is beyond 4, it will start blinking to say that you are over time. Okay, you can introduce, you can modernize, you can make it anything like our actual movies as well. That's absolutely fine, but you should use the main characters and the moral of the story. Okay, your 30 seconds start now. Twenty seconds. Last 6 seconds. And time's up. Okay, let me pull up the timer cards before you start, and then I will count 3 and you can start your story. Let me spotlight you first. Replace. And we are going to share the, where am I? Here. Okay, Gopinath. Let's hear an interesting story from you in 3, 2, 1, start.
This is as underestimate regarding the hunter example right now. See, when the hunter went to forest, means hunter and one king and hunter went the forest. They saw one animal. When they saw one animal, hunter thought that he knows how to hunt this animals. King knows only one, that is the power of man. Like he's the king, he can do anything else like that. He used to think. When they went both to hunt the animal, what king is did, because of his confidence, he first he blamed the hunter. You cannot hunt this animal because of you doesn't know how to do. I know I am the king. I know how to hunt this animal like that. He explained. He understood this hunter. Then hunter thought that, okay, I know what to do, what not to do. Okay, he's not means disappointed about against the king's comments, and he tried to hunt this without he's not taking care of his king's words and all. Then both of us started to hunt the animals. When king and hunter started, when the king started this hunt this, because of his confidence, and he tried to hunt the animals. When he tried to part with them, he missed out. Then hunter also started at the same way. He has not most experience, but uh, he doesn't have means any confidence and all. But because of his experience and all, slowly, he started this hunt in similar manner, like in step by step. Then he fought with that and he hunt the animals. He caught that animals finally. Then hunter told to king simple one moral is that don't underestimate to anyone and don't disappoint to anyone. You should support to all. Even when we go to both, you should support to all. Then only we can achieve this our goal like that. The hunter suggested to king. Then the king accepted the same because of his pride. That's it.
Wow, Gopinath, that's a very well narrated story. That's You deserve a good round of applause. I request all of you to join in as well in applauding Gopinath for that really nice twist on the story. The actual story is very different, but I think the way you kind of narrated it and how you played on the actual characters and the way they generally behave and how you brought it back to the theme is really well done. Thank you so much for that story. Yeah.
Welcome.
And yeah, of course, like I'm sharing the feedback as well along. I forgot to add a couple of points for Akib as well and for you, but probably we'll do it at the end at one go. Okay, so I think only Subhash is left. So Subhash, it's your
Hi.
turn now. Yeah. All right. You have to choose a number between. Let me share my screen again. Between 3 to 12 with canceling 10 in between.
Go with 6.
Go with 6. 6 is the elephant and the ant hill. The elephant and the ant hill are the characters. The moral of the story is pride and arrogance never go unpunished. The theme is pride leads to self destruction. You get 30 seconds to think, so your time starts now. And once you're ready, I'll start the timer. Last 10 seconds. Okay. So let me share my timer screen now, and Subhash, get ready to start in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Good evening, guys. I'd like to introduce a story of elephant in the ants in an ant hill. So, yeah, there is a forest with an elephant and ants. They're living peacefully once upon a time. So, uh, yeah. So the elephant came across the ant hill in his way once while he's strolling through the forest. So he's a mighty creature. He was a mighty creature in in that forest. Even he can fight with the lion. So he has a pride in himself with all his stature and majestic body. So so I he doesn't want to like move his way. He want to go over the ant hill, and the ant stopped him and asking for mercy and go take the other way. Because one if he crosses that, if he goes over that anthill, the anthill will be destroyed, and it will take them years to construct it again. So he didn't listen. He ran over that ant hill, and most of the ants were died actually, and some of the ants were ran away. So yeah, he is a like he has a lot of pride in himself, so he doesn't want to listen anybody. He separated himself from the rest of the animals, rest of the herd of elephants as well. So that happened, and uh, yeah. So after a while, he became lonely and found him at the right time and started biting it all at once. Started biting him all at once, uh, and he became old. So uh, yeah, finally, uh, it caused him a lot of pain because of his actions in the past. Uh, that happened, and these kind of things we always see in daily life. I related the story with a topper in a class where where the guy felt he is superior to all of his other members in the class, and he used to seclude himself. He used to because he took pride in his marks in tests and all. So by the end of his school education, he became secluded and he uh, has no social skills. He got no social skills from his school education, and he became shy and all because of it. Because like he hasn't interacted with anyone because he took pride in himself, and he considered other guys as inferior to him. So it distracted himself some part of his life going forward because of his lack of social skills. So yeah, that's the moral of the story. So don't take one should not take pride in himself too much. Uh, Everything comes and goes. Nothing is permanent in that way. So yeah, that's the end of the story.
Thank you so much, Subhash, for that. And the linking of how it happens in real life through your own instance kind of added on to it. Yes, that's absolutely true. Sometimes we might think we have all the power and we tend to go gung go about it, but in reality, if it is not supporting, not helping anybody, it is of no use, right? It's a great take on that. That's a fabulous job. All of you have very well narrated 4 stories. Now, have you looked at the beauty of improv? Probably when I was talking about the rules and I was showing you the slides, you might have thought that, oh my god, narrating a story could be very difficult, right? But all of you could come up with something so interesting, and none of you narrated the original story. Do you all know these stories? None of you know these stories in reality?
No, ma'am.
No, okay. I think
To some
Avinash, I thought you knew the story because the first half that you
yeah,
actually
to
narrated is the actual
Mhm.
story. The
Somewhere
first
in my subconscious mind it is there.
yeah, actually we've learned it in our school days, right? The grass and the grasshopper and the ant. So you the first part is what you've narrated. Of course, it ends differently, but you have given a nice twist to it. So did Akib. He introduced a lot of characters in it, and he kind of in related it to the current scenario as well. That is good. Gopinath also has done a fantastic job of a very nice take on the entire episode of the hunter and hunting the heart. Yeah, that's a very nice one. And with Subhash talking about how pride makes you fail in reality, in real life as well. So great job. I think I don't have to say let's take a poll to vote, because all the 4 stories are very interesting in their own manner. Couple of things that which we can be treated as general observation, and since it's improv, right, the beauty about improv is there's no right or wrong. It's more about how you connect, how you think and speak in English. But some of the things that we will have to always consciously practice is give it a very nice ending to it. You have to wrap it up. Whether it is a story or a speech, it has to have a proper conclusion. Now, what do we mean by conclusion here? We've already discussed that it should have the moral of the story as a conclusion of the story, and how we support it. While you have very nicely connected to it, maybe end it with that proper conclusion, that always remember that this is what we need to do, or in life we get many opportunities like this. So reiterating the theme is very important, because that is what we've agreed as part of the expectations before we started. That's one. The second thing is some of us have narrated the story as a speech. It's a story, right? It has to give that, bring in that interest in people to understand that, wow, what happens next. That curious element has to be introduced in a story. So that is something that we should work on. Your stories are very nice and intricate, just a little bit of tonality. Like if you've observed, Avinash did that at the beginning, then this happened, then the grasshopper said this. So that element has to be used whenever you're talking about a story, because that is what intrigues people to listen to the next part of it. Yeah, but otherwise, overall, a very good job done. Kudos to all of you. Okay, I think that would be the end of today's session. A brief one, but I think time well spent for me. I got to hear very four beautiful stories. We're going to publish them for the rest of our group, and probably this should motivate them to come forward in the next instance when we run this improv once again. But how did you guys feel when you participated? What was your initial thought? And when you actually took on the place, what came into your mind that this is how I would narrate it? I'm really curious to know that.
I really wanted to speak more for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes because ideas were coming. Some good ideas were coming with the crabs. It feels
Okay.
like the story which I tell to my nephews and niece. I
Mm,
I start every story starts with the lion and a monkey,
mm,
and then it ends up somewhere else in next 20 minutes. So I keep building on top of it. One, two, lion said this, monkey said this, and then there was a tortoise, then there was XZ. So I was going in that direction, but time constraint 4 minutes. I really loved the reason of giving 30-second extra to think properly. In impromptu, we don't get enough time to think. And there is no such format wherein you are just given 30-second and 1 minute and you are asked to give a longer speech. So if you ask me to speak for 7, 8 minutes and give me 30 seconds of time, it works well. And I find it more uh, it has more learning opportunities. So people have not uh, actually checked it. People have not leveraged those as well. So we can have a table topics, longer table topics. So just give 10, 15, 20 seconds to think. Yeah, that's my thought.
okay. Okay. Cool. Very nice. What do others think? How do you think it happened when you saw it, and what happened towards the end? Yes, Subhash.
I I feel nervous when I start, but when things are coming into mind and I'm speaking, like I feel relief at the end. So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's what.
That's nice. That's good to know. Gopinath, how did you feel? I think this is the first time you were speaking, right? I think you did
No,
attempted
this
one
is
table topics.
third time.
Yeah.
Third time. Yes, couldn't actually. Uh, I'll get clear when I start to speak. This is initially I because I don't know fluency exactly, and stories and all. I also don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good or not.
It's true. Good. But very good attempt, Gopinath. Yeah. Avinash, what did you feel?
Madam, when I choose a number 3, I felt, why have you chosen this? Shall I have to change the number? Then again, I read the theme and the moral. Okay, I connected some way. And why I didn't take in the 30 seconds means I want to be a natural speaker. So whenever I had a chance to speak, I want to speak directly because thought should come out of me directly. I'm trying to make myself as a natural speaker. So I taken that chance. But always planning is good because I can conclude in time. I can frame the all situations.
Correct.
So it's good for the 30 seconds. But because I'm trying to do this, I just jump and I build some confidence. Okay, whenever I get a topic to speak directly like this, I'll do this mostly. I don't take the time. I'll speak and I'll frame in my mind during my speeches.
Mm, mm.
Good or bad, I don't know,
No, no, no.
but I'm trying that.
Absolutely good. Absolutely good. See, there are different ways we will learn, right? some like Akib mentioned, you gave 30 seconds, so there were a lot of thoughts that came up in my mind, and I felt 4 minutes was less. So he's able to build on it much faster than other people who like to just instantaneously start. Somebody like you probably wouldn't need that kind of intro time. You can continue speaking like that. Some people might require additional time as well to even speak for 3 minutes, right? So it all depends on your level of comfort when it comes to impromptu, and also your level of ease, or not level, actually your ease of constructing and building on sentences, because improv is all about that. While you'll get a lot of ideas, it's about how do you stitch it into your own speech, and that is what it teaches you. So there is no right or wrong way in what you're doing. It's also good practice to start off right away. But the reason why it is always recommended when you are in a learning zone, or not just learning zone, anytime you speak, it is good to have a structure in mind, because our mind is like a monkey, right? When you don't tell it that you have to have an intro, you have to have a body, you have to have a conclusion, it can go very jumpy. It can just add a lot of inputs. You might have heard certain speeches, right? It will start off very nicely, and then towards the end you'll wonder, uh I mean, where did this all start? It often happens, right? So
Yes,
that
yes.
kind of thing gets killed when you structure your thoughts. Of course, there's a lot of practice you'll have to do. A lot of us struggle with this, and for somebody who, Toastmasters is all about timing your speeches as well, and improv is a very nice table topics, basically is a very
Yes.
nice way. In table topics, that's why we don't give you any time to think. But since this is storytelling, and I know a lot of people don't use storytelling much in their workplaces or otherwise, we thought we'll give some additional time. If you employ story, the technique of storytelling, even at your workplaces when you're presenting or when you're talking to your clients, it's a very nice way of building a relationship as well. So yeah, of course, that involves a lot of thinking, which means you'll have to first be comfortable in the language, and to build that you'll have to listen to a lot of videos or audios, or first get familiar with the English text itself. So a lot of reading helps. These days we don't read, so one thing that you can do is you can listen to stories, you can listen to videos, anything that's in English, or certain English movies that can give you a very beautiful structure on how you can come up with ideas. But overall, I think, I really personally, just before the session, I was thinking that we should cancel it, because I thought I can't handle all the roles. But when I was trying to log in, I saw that instead of start, I got the option as join. So I was little happy that somebody joined before me. So I'll ask for help. The moment I came in, Akib was there, my savior, all the time. So I asked him, and good to see all of you taking the time out. I know it's festival season, but still you took the time out and joined us today. I'm sure you had some learning to take back, and continue to that, doing that. Improv is a very nice way of becoming eloquent speakers. Natural speakers, yes, if you practice, but eloquence, that is, you start thinking faster. Gopinath said, I have never narrated a story, but did you look at the beautiful way he was able to structure his story along the way? Now, all he needs to focus on is the language choice, and I am sure you'll do great. Yeah, and that only comes with practice. It's not like a magical pill that it comes overnight. But good job, everybody. Kudos to all of you. So, I think we'll keep it brief and we'll wrap it up. We'll ask Akib to conclude the session so that I can stop the recording.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mamta, for this nice session on improv. We all learned a little bit on how to stories on top of each other, and especially the concept of improv was not so clear to most of the audience here. You made it, you enabled all this discussion, which is really good. You were trying to bring in some storytellers within the group, and now we have 3-4 of us who are good storytellers, at least storytellers in making. So thank you so much for conducting the session, and I would also like to thank each and everyone, Subhash, Avinash, Gopi, for joining today's session, I would request you to nominate for the roles. So whenever the next roster comes out, take a role, and that kind of binds you to join the meeting. I don't join because of several reasons. You also will have several reasons, but try booking your slot, and then that will push you to join the meeting. With that, power hosted in me as Sergeant at Arms, I would like to call off this meeting. It's not stopping. Somebody has to stop the recording, guys.